beautiful here. Things are dried out, the sky's blue, things are back to normal. But you know, 200 miles to the east, it's not that way. Things are still, it's still serious. And up and down the East Coast, there are people that have a variety of needs. There's still some hardship out there. I just want to put that in the forefront of your mind for a moment. We bow your heads with me for the invocation. Heavenly Father, thank you for the men and women around these tables and the fellowship we enjoy, and how we are just renewed by coming together in the spirit of Rotary. Thank you for what this organization stands for. Thank you for the spirit of the four-way test and the tenet to the value service above self. Thank you for this food that has strengthened and nourished us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Of the things we think, say, and do,
Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Jeff. Steve, Sergeant.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Looks like we have 40 each-city Rotarians here, and one guest, Chad Basting, guest of Justin Plummer.
We have another guest. Sally Milliken is my guest.
Welcome.
Good deal. Dale, birthdays, anniversaries?
On the 12th, 15th of October, David Graves will have a birthday. On the 17th of October, John Nossip will be a year older. And on the 18th of October, Guy Ravondo will be older.
All right.
And Chris Justice, who's not here, is going to be having his 8th anniversary on the 16th of October with Big City Rotary.
This is his own party here. Good deal, thank you.
Happy birthday.
As far as the health and wellness, if anybody wants to report anything else, obviously, but we're keeping Stephanie in our hearts and prayers and thoughts this week. I know she's doing some procedures, so. Let's see here. When Chris's feud move forward. Now. It's not on video. All right, let's change the announcements a little bit, but the football pool.
All right. Good, all cool. Darlene brought me some nice fries. Thanks, Darlene. They were coming very handy. I don't know what they were, but they're secret, of course, so they're getting out. And Guy was complaining because he never wins. But I told him he almost won this week. He had 8 correct out of 20, which is second for the dud. Cooper won last week. Was it last week or week before? With a big number, 7 out of 20. That's Tyler Howard for the dud, but Howard actually picked UNC to beat Virginia Tech, which didn't quite happen, unfortunately, last week. Howard, are you here?
I would have done the last 10 minutes.
Howard's not here. Cooper, you're here. That's the Stud to Dud Award. There you go, buddy. You got it. Honorable mention this week, Ken, Danny, Mike, Anderson, James Edwards, the usual guys, and Ralph. Congratulations, all got 12 out of 20 correct. That's good for honorable mention. You should be very proud. Mike Conrad, 13 out of 20. And first place was 14 out of 20. It was funny, the guys that always say, oh, those shows, well, you know, I don't know why I do the football, I don't know anything about football. See, Tom Richardson.
No way.
All right. Says, by Tony. There you go, good looking golf hat. Yeah. Still in shape, so don't mess it up. All right. Congratulations, there's a prize right there. Thank you,
And a
Brent.
check. Hey.
They said you never win.
Well, can't say that anymore.
Hey, well, funny you mention that, because that's how the bookies do it too. Oh, I hope this big, this one. Let's see, bell ringing, and if you want to follow up with that, with the building project, Del. let us know.
Well, we'll leave the bell ringing until after we cajole everybody about the building project. We are gonna be doing like a week and a half on the bell ringing.
Okay, that's
Full
all.
week, and then, the first week do is doing it from 4 to 8. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We still need people for tomorrow and Saturday. I had a few people step up yesterday, thank you very much, so we're gonna go ahead, but, we are short of people, especially going. Anybody can help, please do.
Thanks, Kevin. Our golf czar, please.
Yeah, I've got something about fixed. I can go ahead about golf czar.
All right, golf czar. Justin, you want to say, that's all right. Oh, that's all right. Didn't want to interrupt you.
This is why I get in trouble in class. Golf, we had 2 spots open up for golf, but I'm not sure if anybody got them fast enough. They had 2 open up real quick, and I haven't heard back as to whether or not anybody, so if anybody knows anybody who signed up, thank you if you did, if you got in there. So, if not, we'll try a little bit better next year and try to hopefully maybe get a little bit more than 100 people to play.
Thanks, Justin. Mr. Chip.
All right, this coming Sunday, we are going to, Gate City Rotary is participating in the world's greatest meal to eradicate polio. And what we're going to do, because we have a practice cook this coming Sunday scheduled for your Hunka Hunka Burning Rub award-winning barbecue cooking team. We're going to use that practice cook, which we're going to have enough food probably for 75 to 100 people before somebody brings side dishes. And so we'd like to ask everybody to come out, bring a side dish, join us. Well, I'll probably fire the thing up about 6:30 or 7 Sunday morning, so you're welcome to come on. Just don't, no earlier than 6:30, please. But, yeah, I'm not worried about that. But we do need people to come out. We're going to have a ton of food. And my dogs can only eat so much barbecue. I'm sorry, they just can't, you know, too much is not good for them. So I would like to ask everybody to come out, bring a side dish, bring a dessert, whatever you care to bring a beverage, whatever you want. And hopefully some folks will stick around and try and help us clean up a little bit. I hate to leave my wife with everything. After 12 hours over the charcoal, I'll probably be a little tired and won't really feel like, you know, doing stuff like that. But come on out, we're going to have a big time. It's a great event for Rotary. It supports polio, eradication of polio. We're going to charge $5 a head, and you can make another donation, and it will go to specifically to the polio fund. That's what it's all about. So we've got the food. I hope y'all will come out and help us. This should be award-winning. Last time it got a little done, and we're working on that. So it's my fault, not my co-chefs. I didn't put the thermometer on. It got done early. So anyway, come on out. It's going to be better this time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chip. Chrissy, can you come and up front for a second?
Okay, that's good.
There's a reason I'll put your announcement last week. One of the proud moments of being a new member is hitting all the requirements it takes to become a real Rotarian. Although you've been a real Rotarian since day one. You volunteered at the our Rotary Foundation party, our Rotary party. How long have you been here? I mean, big participant. Yeah, I mean, soon a month in, she was hard at it. So we're proud to introduce the blue badge and get rid of that red one. And while she's up here, she's going to give her announcement about Foundation.
Sure. So I sent out an email. I first have to say, Gmail is my personal email. I don't use Gmail much, and apparently I'm not very good at it. So I could not figure out how to attach. Well, I did attach it. Many of you did not get it. So I made copies and put it on your table. If I use Gmail at work, I'd starve. So anyhow, this is the invitation for the Rotary Banquet. It is Thursday, November the 17th. We have 11 people currently signed up to go, which is fantastic. I understand in the past we filled up like 3 tables. So that's going to fill up 1 table when I hit 12. The big deal is we can't make the reservation for the table until I have 12 people.
12?
Okay, perfect, excellent. So, and the seating is, we get good seating based on how early we sign up. So, thank you, I'll sign up first thing tomorrow. The way the billing is gonna work, I've been asked about that as well. The club is going to bill you. So, now that I have 12, and I have everyone who has, emailed me to reserve a spot for them, I'm gonna get with Chris Neal, the Rotary is gonna go ahead and pay the amount and then bill you later for it. So, please take an invitation from the table if you want one, consider it, get with your significant other, let me know as soon as possible. We'll continue to reserve tables, but now at least we can get our first table, okay? If you have any questions, I put my email in here, feel free to email me.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Any other announcements? Happy Dollars.
Happy Dollar. Chip, is there a party at your house every weekend?
Well, some bigger than others.
Chip, everything you do is big. Yeah,
Before you come out to Chips on Sunday, if you'd like to join me with about another 10,000 people or so at the Crop Walk this year, I have the fortunate opportunity to chair for my church, First Presbyterian Church, the Crop Walk. Love to have any of you join us for the walk. If you can, 1:30 at the Life Center at First Pres, and then we'll walk over together. If not, you're welcome just to donate. But as you all know, there is a serious hunger crisis going on in Guilford County. So $5, $10, $25, any donation collectively makes a big deal. So love to have you walk with us or just join us for a donation online. CropWalk/First Presbyterian Church will get you to my page. Thanks.
Well, I want to thank Lisa Simpson for allowing me to do her hardwood floors. They turned out really well. House looks beautiful. And it's all so Bridget. I'm doing a little rub for her, so I appreciate y'all working with me.
that's what Rotary's about. It's all stuff to each other and get rich.
Selling each other.
Here's my dog.
Somebody's gonna be on fire.
True. Big stop tickets. I've got them for you. I think I told everybody that's ordered them here today. If you want some, you haven't told me, just let me know today. I think 4 years ago we had 90 people. We have 660 tickets at the big stop. So it's going to be just like NASCAR's Farm, it's a big party in the mud. So.
You're all coming out to taste our barbecue, which you can have a preview of on Sunday afternoon.
Exactly.
Ron. Got one, ran into a little problem this past weekend. We're heading to Raleigh for a wedding for my nephew in the rain, in the hurricane. And Saturday morning, things were happening. Ran into a little snafu with the dog, getting the dog to get boarded. And I won't give you the details, but Mike Andrus, what a trooper. Great days of the animal hospital over on Pisgah Church. Those guys are great. Mike, thank you so much.
Rob, if you would just shower with the dog beforehand, I wouldn't have a problem.
I didn't tell him.
So here's how it was this week. You know, I've been kind of fired up. I get these emails about Free the Kids, want to keep that ball rolling. So I was talking with a friend, we were having cocktails, and he said, so what are you doing? I said, well, he said, take a look at these pictures over in Haiti. We've got some friends over there that have a orphanage, and they have been just decimated. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to give. He said, well, if you will, I will. And so that's how it was. It's that easy. Just say something to somebody. It's that easy.
Any more takers? Well, Grandpappy, you know, he follows all these debates, and all the goings on, and all the posturing of the candidates and all. And he told me, he said, you know, if you ever think you're a person of influence and power, just try ordering somebody else's dog around. In the box, what do you think?
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce my friend Ann Zura. Ann is president of Zura Financial Advisors. which is a financial planning and investment management firm here in Greensboro. And Ann has dedicated her career as a financial advisor, helping families build wealth through investing, planning, and preserving it for generations to come. She has an undergraduate degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in business and speech communication. Her MBA is from the University of California at Berkeley, a degree she earned at night while managing equity institutional investments for Bank of America Investment Management Company. This goes on and on, but it is a brief one. She's a certified financial planner and chartered financial analyst. She's the creative force behind the blogs womenmoneyanddivorce.com and chickschatandchange.com, whose goal is to empower women with knowledge to take control of their finances. Her current volunteer commitments include serving on the United Way Worldwide Leadership Council and board of Wellspring Retirement Community. She was most recently awarded the 2015 Women in Business Award presented by the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce and Greensboro Partnership. And so she's here today to talk to us about the Benjamin family. So please welcome Ann.
Okay, good. So I'll introduce myself. I am Ann Benjamin Zura, and on the table you have a little sheet which is kind of an outline of my talk, and y'all are having fun this morning, and I will try and not keep it too serious, but just wanted to share some of the experiences of growing up in the family business, which was Starmount Company. And so my husband had a baseball team for a while there, and so I actually became a big baseball fan, so I look at it all in terms of baseball life. So I'm going to ask you guys, what is your batting average? And why is the batting average, why do you want a high one? And for our family, which was the Benjamins, and our family business, which was Starmount Company, it was our core values and operational guidelines for the business to ultimately benefit the family. I love watching baseball and hope every time I see the bat, we'll see the batter hit a home run. But the best baseball players only have a batting average of 300. So why do we expect 100% in business? Can't we win with base hits over time? What were the key components of our infrastructure team to maintain our 300 batting average? So I'm going to give a disclosure up front. This is Ann Zura's version. You probably would never hear the same story from anyone in Starmount Management or my family, but I spent every summer of my life until college coming to Greensboro for the family business, 25 years on the board of directors, and I paid attention to what was happening. I spent a lot of time with my dad at Friendly Center and looking at it as an owner because I was interested in it. We would walk the center every June when we got up here and pick up the trash and go through every store. And early in my investment career, I would become a retail analyst as a result of watching the stores grow and studying retailers and what made them successful in Friendly Center. I'm also the beneficiary of my dad and my grandmother's 100 plus scrapbooks, and I love reading the letters and newspaper articles about the family history. So this is the batting average for my family. And we'll just go through the pages. B is business, priority, or family. A, analyze financials. T, tax. A, Ann Zura's history. V for vote. E for estate planning. R for Robert's Rules of Order. A for advisors. G for Greensboro. And E is for Eye on the Prize. So let's start with business, priority, or family. Our first topic is the one most family businesses wrestle with. Which is more important, the business or the family? However, this was not the case for our family business. Business was the priority over family. Never debated, just a fact. Here's a little history on how Starmount got started. My great-grandfather, Emanuel Sternberger, worked at a general store in South Carolina and was asked by the Cohn brothers to manage Revolution Mills. When he died, my grandfather, who was from New Orleans and newly married to my grandmother, Blanche, wanted to exit the business, Cohn Mills. It was 1928, just before the Depression, and they gave him the mortgages on Northwest Greensboro 4,683 acres, basically worthless land, in 1928. My grandfather from New Orleans had textile, chemical, and salt businesses in New Orleans he was managing, trying to sell another textile company. And so he got the land. Starmount Country Club opened in 1930, just after the 1929 stock market crash. It started as a public course, charging 50 cents for a greens fee, or 12 tickets for $5, then monthly dues of $3 when it went semi-private. My grandfather, Edward Benjamin, ran the Starmount Company for 40 years. He started building houses one at a time, and Friendly Shopping Center started in 1957 with a Bell, Woolworth, and Colonial grocery store. Then in 1965, he threatened to sell the business unless one of the three sons took over. Grandfather was worried about, quote, the backup talent in Starmount and had had 2 operations. So there were 3 sons, and my father was one of them, Menti. He was a lawyer in New Orleans, and he was the only one willing to step up to the plate. Dad commuted a week out of every month during the school year from New Orleans to Greensboro, and our family would spend the summer here. My dad was president for 40 years. He and his brother, Uncle Edward, who was chairman, together managed the company and developed the company land. The family rules were no individual was to personally profit from the business. Everything was reinvested, no dividends, no payouts, no loans. The goal was always to build the company and develop the land. 4,683 acres. We're going to go to A now. Analyze financials. One key to the way Starmount Company was always managed was we analyzed everything. We had tons of spreadsheets, and we would get a packet, and I would get a packet in the mail when I was in California. It would be like 2 inches thick before any conference call or board meeting, because we didn't have computers, we didn't have email, and we'd look at discounted cash flow, cap rate, risks. I started attending board meetings after I graduated from Chapel Hill. I probably spent more time as an adult with my 2 uncles than some of his kids did that did not attend the meetings. It was 2 days a quarter, 8 hours each, 4 times a year, 16 days a year for 25 years, 400 days with each other, plus conference calls in between. And those of us that chose to be active on the board of directors got to know each other really well. Selling Starmount Country Club to the members was a huge decision. It gave us enough capital to start developing Green Valley Office Park, which was a public golf course. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I remember listening to the discussion, and we needed the capital to develop the land. Forum 6 Mall was a strikeout that happened. It opened in 1976 and closed in 1997. We learned the key is to keep going to bat, whether you strike out or hit a base hit or maybe a home run. Transparency was always important, that we understand the business and the investment, and we looked at the numbers from an investment perspective, actual versus budget, what were the assumptions, and what happened. I watched the company evolve, and everyone was responsible to help with their expertise. We were always building our team, whether it was management or family members. Everyone had their expertise or skill like a baseball team. We knew each other's value. Every player was important, whether they attended the board meetings or not. For example, one of my brothers with a PhD in real estate finance would always look at all the projections, property analysis. He never went to the meetings, but he would feed me the questions. The majority of the family are lawyers. So risk was always discussed, not just return. Liability was always a concern. Friendly Center Associates, LLCs, were set up for every new project. I hope that's not my phone. It is. Okay, this is what you don't want to. This is what you don't want to have happen in a speech, right? Good example. It's like every time something unexpected. All right. Yeah, she did it. Thank you, Lisa. What are friends for? So we had the last count for the Friendly Center LLCs was number 30. The emphasis was always developing the residential land and projects in combination with Friendly Center and other retail centers along Battleground, and then the office park. So T for taxes. My Uncle Edward was a tax lawyer from New Orleans, and we learned early on that capital gains were better than ordinary income, and to reinvest versus pay out the income and be taxed. No one expected to earn money from Starmount. The goal was always to build a company. We became a subchapter S, so income would not be double taxed, 7 years before the company was sold. Starmount started as a C corporation. We always just got enough money to pay the taxes. And we would reinvest properties or do 1031 exchanges. Again, it was important not to have capital gains, not ordinary income. We would always look at that when we were evaluating a project because we were looking at a long-term time horizon and we were never planning on selling it. So average, A is Zura's history. As I mentioned, I was on the board for 25 years. I was the only other non-lawyer and female attending the board meetings regularly. I lived in San Francisco and had my own investment career, getting my CFA, becoming a consumer analyst, portfolio manager, and MBA at night at Berkeley while managing money. I was always on the board. I liked it. I would look at the proposed projects, the retail numbers. I enjoyed it. I loved watching the center evolve from Paul Rose to Barnes & Noble. Eventually, on the board, I would serve as on the compensation and audit committees for Starmount. I also chaired EWJ and Northline, and EWJ stood for Edward, William, and Jonathan, which were the three brothers. And William was my dad, Minty. Northline, and those properties owned separately from Starmount, thanks to my grandmother, the property that was ground leased to Burlington Industries headquarters, and the part of Starmount Farm that ended up with the movie theater and Harris Teeter. I was actually chair of Northline, which owned the property under Burlington Industries headquarters when they declared bankruptcy in late December of 2001. Then in 2003, Wilbur Ross decided to terminate the lease. Our family then sold the land under Burlington and the movie theater to Starmount in 2004. Looking back on it, it was a key turning point in the development of Friendly Center with the 11 grandchildren. We owned it separately from Starmount, slightly different ownership. I knew and I grew up on this land. I rode horses on it starting at age 3. My grandparents' farmhouse had to be moved to do the theater. Needless to say, a little controversial with my generation, but it made sense and we're happy to give it to Junior Achievement in 1998. So when we had the opportunity to develop the land that Burlington Industries was on, I knew we had to do it fast. There are 3 family values I learned and appreciate from being part of the family business, which include confidentiality, loyalty, and perseverance. First, confidentiality was key. The Greensboro News and Record always seemed to pan on new restaurants. It was the day of the new independent retailers. No one ever knew what we were considering at Friendly until the lease was signed. Second, loyalty was important. I was never allowed to go to Four Seasons Mall. Third, I still don't go today, if anybody's Four Seasons. Sorry. Can't help it, you probably didn't go Friendly. Third, my dad's name is Minty, and to me, Minty means perseverance. He gets full credit for keeping the family and business together for 40 years. So V for vote. The number of shares owned and the vote was always important to all of us. It became really important when deciding about the sale of the company. We all knew how many shares each of us owned, and they were primarily owned outright before we dealt with our own estate planning. My family would attend the annual meeting in Greensboro starting at an early age. It was always held on a Sunday around my grandmother's birthday, May 13th. My grandmother was a founder and director of Starmount while my grandfather ran it. She would attend the meetings, which were never short, needle pointing the entire time. We used to meet in the Friendly Center auditorium. We'd hear my dad's president's report. It was really serious. One of my dad's proudest accomplishments was getting Sears at Friendly Center. But this was a tough time for my dad. My grandfather had run the company for 40 years. He was dealing with a change in management to his generation. Dad had to set limits on his father's involvement with the Sears negotiation. My grandfather did not have the shares to vote his views. He had given it to his 3 sons. Grandfather did not want Sears next to his house farm, and the Sears store was a turning point for Friendly Center because it was confirmed that the management had changed generations. Grandfather was against Sears at Friendly Center, but retired from the company, and even though he was upset about the location, there was nothing he could do about it. So business came first. The annual meeting every year would be the place we decided on who would be on the board of directors. The board of directors structure constantly evolved and changed as the complexity of Starmount grew. Eventually, we decided to limit the number of family members, whether you could talk, could still attend, or even vote, always by the 3 branches. Finally went to 2 voting members from each branch. Some family members opted to never come. A word that we all use frequently is fiduciary. I've always been a fiduciary as a CFA, and we always viewed that as extremely important. So E's for estate planning. My family always joked that holiday dinners were only an opportunity for Uncle Edward to get us to sign documents. We all signed right of first refusal documents. There were 11 grandchildren, 11 signatures. I admire Uncle Edward's perseverance in getting our signatures. Dad was the notary, so they had it down. Needless to say, they both had a thankless job, so I'm probably one of the only few members of the family that recognize and appreciate all their efforts. My father taught me that assets were like a hot potato. You need to pass it to the next generation before you build the asset and avoid taxation. And I learned this lesson. But again, not all our family members agree with this view. 3 brothers in the first generation each viewed their investments differently. I saw and learned that even within my family, everyone had a different view of what was the right way to handle their personal estate and investments. We all knew how to keep separate assets, however some chose not to do it or give stock to their kids. Probably the best training anyone could have for financial planning. I learned to accept to disagree when managing investments. R is for Robert's Rules of Order. We had a booklet, the Robert's Rules of Order, at everybody had each of their own books, and all the lawyers knew it well. And note that I was one of the only non-lawyers, and it was strictly followed. As Dad and Uncle Edward reached their 80s, our generation, the 11 grandchildren, were trying to take control. We decided in 2004 to have a co-chair of 3, one cousin from each of the 3 branches of the family. I was our branch representative, and in May of 2005, one of my cousins made a bad call and decided he should just be chair without telling the other 2 of us, and nominated himself at the annual shareholders meeting. My cousin, the other branch co-chair, who was also not told about this change, knew the Roberts rules and amended the motion to elect me as chair, which I won by a narrow majority, 51% of the vote. So I became sole chairman of the Starmount board in 2005, not planned when entering the meeting. Needless to say, my dad and my Uncle Edward voted against me. My brother's and branch aligned with my cousin's branch and other uncle who elected me. So there are 2 lessons learned there. The person who owns the stock has a vote, and you never know who will support you or not. Now I realize today that this confirms our core value, that business came first over family. My grandfather had to fight to shut down the McGinnis textile business in New Orleans with his father. My father had to fight with his father to have Sears and set the path to developing the Starmount Farm property as part of Friendly Center. So this was a time for me where I had to stand up to my dad and uncle in favor of the business over family. So, advisors. When I was elected, I had a goal of being a diplomatic, facilitative leader, not autocratic. I wanted everyone to be part of the process, not dictate. We had a few outside directors on the board, residential home developer from Louisiana, 2 shopping center developers, and an investment person from New Orleans. When I became chair in 2005, a couple of the shareholders expressed concern about the accounting. There was no problem, and there never was, but let me tell you, that was not going to be an issue under my watch. I had a friend from San Francisco that worked with family companies, told him he had a high chance or risk of being sued since we were primarily lawyers, but he liked the challenge. Mind you, I tried 4 other people that were not a good fit or declined, but he fit with our family culture and became one of our advisors. 2005 was a big year for me. I got my CFP, I started Zero Financial Advisors, Katrina hit New Orleans, which meant my immediate family, brother, and parents were living here in the fall. I had 3 teenage kids. I looked or hired every advisor that would either benefit the company or myself for help. I could give you a long list of those that helped us to get to where we are today. Bottom line is, I'm a firm believer in getting the right advisors involved, and in this case, both our company and I had some really good ones. G for Greensboro. Giving back to the community was always important and a core value of our family and part of the company. We're very grateful to the city of Greensboro and always wanted to support our community. When we analyzed the project, this was an important consideration. Some examples of donations by either the family or the company to Greensboro are Sternberger Children's Hospital, which was my grandmother's family home on Summit, started with an endowment. Emmanuel Sternberger Educational Fund, which is now 91 years old. Grandmother and Starmount gave the entranceway of West Market Street to Greensboro, the property for Bertha Sternberger School, land for Wesley Long Hospital, Junior Achievement Headquarters, Junior League Headquarters, the Rose Garden at the Shop Friendly Center, the Benjamin Bog Garden overlooking the Arboretum, Blanche S. Benjamin Branch Library, and Benjamin Parkway. And finally, I on the prize. When I became chair in 2005, there were 3 major issues we were dealing with. Developing the Shops at Friendly Center, which opened in 2006. Second, reevaluating management compensation as the company now had 50 employees. And 3, changing the board of directors. I pushed the development of the Shops at Friendly. We ended up paying leasing agents, which was not our usual strategy, and it developed it a lot faster. The board of directors was changed to try and have it be smaller. I was accused of trying to gag the generation of my father and uncles. As we analyzed and discussed the strategic plan of the company, we made the decision to sell all of the commercial properties. It became apparent as we were shifting to the next generation that all the historically owned 4,600 plus acres had been developed. The future Starmount Company would be buying property and developing it with partners, less ownership, less control, and a change in the business strategy. We decided to sell it to CBL for a gross amount of over $500 million. Please note that that was not net, gross, with the deal closing November 30th, 2007. I on the prize were the words that one of our advisors, who was instrumental in making this happen, kept repeating to me. The prize for me was selling the company and separating my investments from the family. Liquidity and control are priority for me in terms of any investment. With the public stock market, you can sell it whenever you want and vote with your feet. I come from a family history of entrepreneurs that developed companies and then knew when to sell. My great-grandfather in New Orleans had a company called the Burlap and Gunny Bags. Also, McGinnis Cotton Mills became McGinnis Industrial Terminals. The E.B. Benjamin Cotton Cement Bag, which was very successful in 1924, went to, without warning, when the cement trade went to paper bags, was destroyed. Business. E.W. Minty was sold in 1919 to Bay Chemical, and they bought Miles Salt Company at Weeks Island, Louisiana. Revolution Cotton Mills of Greensboro was sold for the interest for the Starmount land. And as I said, my grandfather had enough problems dealing with the textile business in Louisiana. I said at the time when we were evaluating the Starmount Company decision that it's important to know when to sell an investment, not just when to buy and develop. We all worked diligently on our BAT average, business over family, detailed analysis, taxes. We had just hit the 7 years for the Subchapter S requirement. My effort in being part of a team, vote, estate planning, Robert's Rules of Orders, and all the meetings, using all of our advisors, continuing to give to Greensboro in order to end the game. Everyone in my generation, which was 11, was either in their 40s and 50s with their own established careers. The 26 kids in the next generation, including my 3, were reaching the age that they were going to be able to have the right to participate in board meetings. I knew that I did not want them to go through the experience I had. I realized that you do not have to have a family company to have family financial values, and I'm grateful for the experience and to talk about it. It was not easy, it was not a home run, but a lot of base hits. Not luck, but hard work thanks to a lot of people. No one individual, a team like in baseball. My grandmother is known for telling us all on her 80th birthday, people are more important than things. Don't ever forget this. Try to take care of yourselves and pass along to your children and grandchildren the ideals and standards you have inherited. That is probably the biggest prize of all. Thanks for listening to my story, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody? You have one more duty. Yeah, pick the winning ticket. Maybe not the winning, but a ticket.